Well, hey everybody. John, James, and I are currently on holdover in a space station high above Dathomir, but I wanted to take this time to let you guys know about the Fulcrum Podcast Network. Head over to the website, fulcrumpodcastnetwork.com, or just go to Facebook and type in Fulcrum Podcast Network. This is a free podcast network for anybody with a Star Wars podcast. All you have to do is head on over to the Fulcrum Podcast Network group page and leave us a message. We'll tell you everything that you need to do in order to become a member of the Fulcrum Podcast Network. The network includes great shows such as There Is Another Podcast with our great friend Kevin, who's been on this show quite a few times, and the brand new show, The Bucket Cast. These guys are young and they know their stuff. So go head on over to fulcrumpodcastnetwork.com and check it out for yourself.
Well, the archives hold a great many secrets, 'tis true. Beyond this door lies the Holocron Vault. The Holocrons contain the most closely guarded secrets of the Jedi Order.
I just don't understand why you had the park so far away. I mean, there's an open field right here.
Yeah, perfect landing spot. I mean, why did we have to?
Well, I
trek all
thought
across
we would
it?
look cool walking.
Yeah, what are you, Orson Krennic all of a sudden?
Taking in the sights.
Taking in the
hey,
sights.
hey, these
But
beautiful Dathomir forests. It's the creepiest place this side of the hiding way. All right.
Yeah, with these like dead zombie bodies laying around
and blaster
road
marks
carts
everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, this is a great choice.
You know, just be glad we're not going through some tomb in Moraband or something.
Oh, okay. Well,
Want to see some
right,
giant spiders or something? You go there.
But the contrast between Yavin 4 and this is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the mosquitoes are just as bad.
Well,
Yeah, they are bad.
we got to watch out for these creepy things walking around, these zombie things. But anyway.
Wait, shh. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah. What was that?
Sounded like a
What was it?
Saints preserve us. I think it's a Rancor.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No. Of course.
Quick, let's run to that little cave I see over there.
Yeah, hold on. Let me grab all this stuff.
Yeah, leave James behind.
Hey, I'm coming.
All right.
Ah, well.
Hold on, let me set this up.
Did it follow us?
I don't think it did.
Yeah. No.
Well,
Okay.
let's turn on the battery light things.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think I'm recording. This whole panel is written in Arabic, and I can't really read it. I think it's recording.
Oh,
Maybe we should have went to Naboo instead.
yeah.
Well, I wish we had just
suggested that.
I wish we had just brought our recording equipment so I could understand what all the buttons do.
Well, why didn't
Well,
you?
it wasn't my idea.
Well, all right.
Yeah, you had that grand idea. Let's try something new. No.
Hey, I got it cheap from this little flying dude on Tatooine, okay? So I'm not going to complain.
I always wanted to make a deal, that guy.
I was in the ship. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's too hot out there and there's sand everywhere.
I was taking a space nap.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you.
But all right.
All
Well,
right.
well, we're here. I guess this will be where we're going to be recording our show. It's pretty eerie in here. Pretty spooky.
Dark. Wet.
Yeah.
But there's none of those loud roars like I was hearing outside, so I'm happy.
At least we got away from those.
And stay clear of any water or ponds.
Oh.
Okay.
If there's any in the cave. I think this is a good spot we can record here.
Good.
Man, this place is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
You ever reminds me, Dathomir. There's those. You guys ever hear the story about the Night Sisters?
No. Well, no.
Well, they're these groups of witches. They hide in little temples in the forests here, and then they would do some sort of weird magics, can do all sorts of weird stuff, make you stronger, make you suffer. It's like Force voodoo stuff, not Jedi or Sith.
That sounds fishy to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
In fact, I remember.
It's too strange.
I remember hearing about one particular Night Sister. She existed during the Clone Wars.
Oh.
Yeah, the Asajj Ventress. You guys ever hear about her?
Ah, yes.
I heard kind of talk.
Yes. Asajj
Don't know
Ventress.
anything.
Well, sit down and Lance will tell you all about Asajj Ventress.
Definitely.
All right.
Hello, listeners. You're listening to Holocron of the Whills for the May 13th, 2017 episode. And go John, I actually got the year right this time.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've taken the last few weeks off. We had to do some, spring cleaning in the studio, recharge our batteries, and get off of that Star Wars celebration high that we all had, even though all of us just sat in our living rooms watching the panels on TV. But, when that Last Jedi trailer and Rebels trailer came on, we all were running around with our heads cut off.
It was all worth it.
About it. So.
Well worth it.
All worth it. So now we're back with our normally scheduled podcasting, and this week we're discussing the Clone Wars character of Asajj Ventress. We're going to be getting into her character's origins, behind the scenes stuff with her, and just talk about her character arc as a whole. Later, when we're done with that, later in the show we'll have be joined by Chris Macht, Star Wars fan documentarian, who the man behind the Force Among Us and the Force Within Us, and his brand new Real Fans of the Saga, a Star Wars fan documentary show. So we'll sit down with Chris, talk to him about the new show, how you guys can listen to it, what it's all about, and we might talk a little celebration stuff too. We also got a few little news headlines here for you, so let's jump at the light speed and we'll start with the news. How you guys doing? Have anything newsworthy for the week?
Well, the only thing that I've currently got, I've got a little bit of notice. They released a list of the figures that will be coming out later this year, and there's a couple speculative names. Anything that has to deal with Episode 8, they've got code names written on them, but there's a couple little pieces of information in there that we might be able to read into. There's two characters. One that's always referred to as RP, which I believe has to deal with Kylo Ren. So you've actually got some... Where is it? Let me find...
Well, RP with the toys, is it like lightsabers and helmets and stuff?
It's referring to a couple of them. There's one that's RP, electronic lightsaber. And
yep, those will be, that RP will stand for like role play, kind of like, you get like your kid toy blasters or lightsabers, stuff,
very well
types of toys that kids can role play as their heroes and villains of the saga.
And then the best part that I see about this, we have one that's got a code name of Victor. So it's going to be a Star Wars Black Series Victor with Throne. It's going to be an exclusive figure. And then they're also going to be releasing where is it right here? It is the Victor Deluxe Lightsaber. So whoever this character is, Victor...
I have a hunch at who this Victor could be.
Yeah, but we didn't know.
I think Victor will be the next chapter in the arc of C-3PO. That we find out he is C-3PO is Snoke. You heard it here first.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
C-3PO is Snoke, and he that's the reason why he has the red arm. It's not because he lost it on a mission to rescue Admiral Akbar from the First Order. No. He got it.
So we all wouldn't recognize him.
Without the new red arm.
Yeah, there it is.
We don't know who he is.
Yeah, that's it. He's got a cool new lightsaber. He's got a cool new throne, and he's all. When Kylo Ren finds him, when he goes there and he's like, "Whoa, you're my master," and C-3PO's like, "Oh, you probably didn't recognize me."
It's actually a pretty. he almost made James spit his Alderanian ale out.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is looking like we're going to be seeing Snoke with a lightsaber this year, if this ties into the film.
Wow.
So
yeah, we do get a lot of characters on the cards of the film that aren't from the film. Like we got the Force Awakens card back figures. We had the Inquisitor and Kanan and Chopper on those Force Awakens Kylo Ren cards. We have Grand Admiral Thrawn and Princess Leia from Rebels on the Rogue One cards. So it could it could be anyone. And really, at this point in time,
it's speculation.
I kind of don't want to read too much into what the toys are going to be for it, because we're all going to know in a few months. And anyway, Yakface will probably have a list up of everything that'll be available for Horus Friday.
All right.
Like they did the last time. Go Yakface. Now, I don't know if you guys have been following the... every year Hasbro has the past few years they've had a fan poll to see what character will be the next fan-chosen figure to be made.
Yeah.
We had, from a few years ago... Revan won, and then they also made a Sabine Wren Black Series one because she came in second place. Last year's winner was Star Wars Legends character Jaina Solo, and they unveiled what she'll look like in at Star Wars Celebration. And the ones for this year were really interesting. There's a big number for Ben Skywalker, Star Wars Legends character, but there was also going to be on this list Yakface, the character from the original trilogy, was going to be on this poll, as well as the Marvel Star Wars comic character Dr. Aphra. In fact, Dr. Aphra actually, from my understanding, I think I've seen multiple reports that Dr. Aphra did win the contest.
Yeah, Dr. Aphra did win. Sorry about the laughing in the background, guys. James kept pointing out this Minoc that was crawling across the ceiling.
Yeah, it's kind of like stalking over here.
Yeah,
a
Dathomir and Tootha cat just chased after. Oh, get it, cat, get it,
go.
So, other than that, there has been, considering we did just have a celebration a few weeks ago, and we're still focusing on news that came out of that, but news that didn't originate from celebrations was a little scarce. We did have 3 novels come out relatively recently. We had by Timothy Zahn. He's made his return to Star Wars canon with his excellent novel Thrawn. I cannot say enough good things about this novel. I have it on audiobook. I have the hardcover, and it's so good.
Now Timothy Zahn
takes place.
He's the one that created the Thrawn character in his older books. I can't remember which one was it.
Heir to the Empire was
that's it.
Thrawn's first appearance. So this is a canon novel set prior to the events of Rebels, and it's telling you Thrawn's backstory. And for Legend fans, there's a lot from Legends that comes back into being canon from Thrawn, and I'm very excited to see where they're going to go with his character into Rebels Season 4. We also got 2 brand new books just last week. They came out on May 3rd. We had their Rogue One tie-in novels. We got Star Wars Guardians of the Whills, which is a Baze in Chirrut young adult novel. I'm currently halfway through it, and it's really good. I mean, it's a quick, easy read. It's only about not even 300 pages.
Oh, wow.
I read half of it in a matter of like an hour yesterday, so I'm gonna finish that up, and I'll probably post what I think about it on our Facebook page. I also have Rebel Rising, which is for fans of Rogue One and fans of Jyn Erso. This is a book you need to read. It takes place between the prologue of Rogue One and when Jyn Erso gets to Yavin 4 in Rogue One. So it tells how Jyn was raised by Saw Gerrera and those years that we don't see of Jyn's life in the film.
So yeah, okay.
And so it's really cool. We get to see how Saw abandons her in that bunker with a blaster. Or I think she had a blaster, but we'll see that, and you'll see all sorts of things. That's on hardcover. That's the Guardians of the Whills and Rebel Rising are published by Disney Publishing, and Thrawn is published by the great folks over at Del Rey. And you can find more information about those books over at their Facebook page at Star Wars Books. Other than that, that's all the news I have for this week. If you guys want to get into the discussion of our Dathomirian Night Sister / Sith Apprentice / Jedi / all-around badass Asajj Ventress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. I mean, we're here.
Okay.
This.
All right. Well, Asajj Ventress is a prequel era character. She was in canon-wise, she appears in the Star Wars: The Clone Wars TV show that you guys can watch on Netflix and on DVD and Blu-ray and all that. She was born on the planet of Dathomir.
Right here.
And yeah, right where we're at, actually.
Right where we're here.
Oh, okay.
And she lived a very interesting life. She's one of those characters that has gone there's like the spinning wheel of different types of things to be in the Star Wars universe: Jedi, Sith, bounty hunter, assassin, all this stuff. And she's been every single one of those things.
Yep.
At one time in her life.
Huh.
And so she's a really fan favorite character. And what's actually really funny is Asajj Ventress has been around well before the Clone War TV show even started.
Really?
I don't know if you guys are familiar with
So,
this. She was also in the original Clone Wars micro series made by Genndy Tartakovsky.
Yes.
She appeared in Chapter 6
Wait,
in that show. Now, the group name of that show is now considered Legends.
But that's that cartoon drawing and it's
Yeah,
series.
the Samurai Jack Star Wars.
Okay, yeah.
I love it because her first intro is just for I am Sith.
Yeah, she was in this. Count Dooku arrives on this planet, and there are all these it's like a gladiator ring, there's all these cool aliens and robots, and then there's this cloaked figure with a blue and green lightsaber, and she just annihilates everything and claims that she's going to be she's a Sith. She's not, but then
no, not at all.
No, and then Dooku in that show he tells her to go chase after Anakin Skywalker, and then they end up fighting, and their fight was amazing. Young John thought that was probably my favorite lightsaber fight because they end up going. They crash land their ship on Yavin 4, and they battle on the temple that would become the Rebels' secret base.
And that is something. That actually, that series gave us a bit of actual Sith training.
Yeah, it did.
Between Asajj and Dooku.
Yeah, and now, so a lot of people think that that's where Asajj Ventress first appeared. But the Holocron of the Whills knows the truth. And we can see through the lies and deception. It was a little off. My C3PO voice was still
I think the air in the cave here is a little off. I think that you're getting
It's
a little
dry
lightheaded.
here, actually. This cave.
Watch out for poke on it! Poke on it! See, that was better.
No.
So, no, she actually appeared, her first ever appearance in Legends material was in a Del Rey comic dating back to 2002. It was called Jedi Mace Windu, and it was the first issue in a miniseries called Star Wars Jedi, which took place during the Clone Wars. And it was written by John Ostrander, and that was when we first met Ventress, and that she was an assassin of Count Dooku. One of in the Star Wars Republic comic, which was like the ongoing Star Wars series during the time of the prequels. When it got to the Clone War time, there were in these comic arcs, there were always characters who were Jedi that fell to the dark side and followed Count Dooku with the Separatists, like Sora Bulk and other type of characters. In fact, like Quinlan Voss in the Legends always was kind of after Dooku and after the Sith, and it was just very interesting when we get them into the canon versions of those characters to see how, Quinlan and Ventress would become. Now, canonically, she appeared in the Star Wars Clone Wars movie. That was her first appearance, where she steals Jabba the Hutt's son, and there's some cool fights between her and Anakin, and her and Obi-Wan. And just from I was really excited seeing trailers of the Clone Wars, of that Clone Wars movie, and seeing Asajj Ventress in it. I was so pumped. I was so excited because, it's great seeing characters from the comics and from the other Clone Wars show come into the Star Wars saga, proper, like in the Clone Wars, because that was that was made with George Lucas. Like he was, he helmed a lot of that. And from things that I've heard, George actually really liked the Asajj Ventress character because George was he's a big fan of the comics. Also, he loved Quinlan Voss, which is why he put Voss in, has him mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, and then that's why they put him in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So, but Ventress, she started off as she was taken from her planet, Dathomir, by this pirate, and after he was killed, she was taken in by a Jedi Knight called Kai Narek, and then she started her training to be a Jedi, but Kai Narek was killed by another group of pirates, and she gave into her rage and anger, and teenage Ventress just kind of left the Jedi at that point. And then years later, Count Dooku discovered her and then started training her as his apprentice. And then during the Clone Wars show, I'm sure you guys are familiar with how the Sith operate. When Sidious is kind of like, well, your assassin apprentice is getting a little too strong, so he was like, to kill her. And Dooku didn't necessarily like Ventress on the fact that a lot of she would often fail him because our heroes always won, But for me in the Clone Wars show, Ventress became a lot more interesting when she left the Separatists in season 3.
Yeah.
Now, what are your guys' thoughts on Ventress, in her psyche and all this? Because I'm talking a lot here.
Yeah, for me, watching her kind of, because she went on her own kind of warrior's journey, I guess you could say it. When we're first introduced to her, she's extremely narrow. She's got the blinders on. She's only for the dark side. She's going straight at everything. But as the show progresses, those blinders slowly start coming off, and she's able to start see the stuff that's going on around her, until finally when the entire, when she was betrayed by basically Count Dooku, and then she started realizing about what was actually going on, and then seeing her kind of make that transformation.
Yeah, that's something I've really enjoyed watching, is the evolution of that character. And especially, this is not like when she kind of got kicked to the curb, this wasn't a fact of, well, your assassin is not getting the job done, so get rid of her. It was, this apprentice is becoming too powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little different than some of the normal narrative we've seen in other things.
I see Asajj Ventress to be sort of like the anti-Ahsoka Tano.
Oh, yeah.
They both are sort of abandoned by their organization, and they both walk away from her being a Jedi, her being a Sith, and they have to exist in the underworld of the galaxy. And Ahsoka, just because she walked away from the Jedi in Season 5, we do know that she did come back into the fold, not necessarily joining back with the Jedi, but she helped them with the fight. She partook in the Battle of Mandalore.
Yeah.
And that they said, and the Ahsoka novel tells us that, and that takes place right at the end of the war, literally concurrent with when Anakin and Obi-Wan are going off to save Chancellor Palpatine. And it's just interesting because the war eventually caught up with both of them, and Ahsoka managed to survive it and live through it. But spoiler alerts, Asajj, her fate began and ended with Count Dooku. Sadly, we never saw her ending on screen because Clone Wars ended. And we didn't get it was canceled. We got the season 6, but we didn't get it. Wanted to go on for 8 seasons, so we missed 2.5 seasons worth of episodes. There was in fact a novel that came out in 2015 called Star Wars Dark Disciple, and it was adapted from different episodes of the Star Wars Clone Wars show that were not made. There was, I believe, it was two different story arcs. So that was in Dark Disciple. So 8 episodes was put into this novel, and it told the story of what happened to her after she left, and with how the Jedi sent Quinlan Vos on a mission to assassinate Count Dooku. And if you're going to do that, who better than to... He went to train with her to learn how to kill him. And in this process, Quinlan turns to the dark side, but comes back because the two of them do fall in love. And it's, again, these... and the episodes were written by Katie Lucas. The episodes entitled were Lethal. They were originally going to be called Lethal Alliance, The Mission, Conspirators, Dark Disciples, Saving Voss Part 1, Saving Voss Part 2, Traitor, and The Path. And those episodes were written by Katie Lucas, George Lucas's daughter.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Yep. So
it's a great story.
Great story.
Were these put into book form because of fan demand?
Well,
it was part of the push when the Clone Wars wound down, where they started releasing things in other formats. Like this was a story arc that was kind of written out, but they decided to go ahead and flesh it out into book form.
And to kind of close all the arcs that were left open.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's written by Christy Golden, and of She's written other Star Wars novels. Primarily, she wrote 3 of the Fate of the Jedi books, and it was probably the best Christie Golden book that she's written in the Star Wars library. Because some of her other work I was a little critical of. Still enjoyed them, but this one was definitely the best. It's a very Lucasian story. Like,
and canon.
And it's canon.
Yes. Canonical.
The
end of Ventress.
The multimedia project that this is that James was referring to is called the Clone Wars Legacy, and this was what it is that it's different story arcs that were planned that were released in different forms of media other than just the episodes, like how we had the Lost Missions on season 6 on Netflix. We got a Darth Maul arc called Son of Dathomir as a comic. That's a 4-part series by Dark Horse, which is in fact like one of the few Dark Horse comics that is canon. Then there were they released unfinished episodes called the Crystal Crisis on Utapau. They're in story reels, which is means they're fully voice acted. They have sound effects and music and all this stuff, but they don't have the animation is not complete. It's like a moving storyboard type thing. It's still in that it's not complete. It's 3D animation still, but it's not complete. It's not fully rendered.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did the same with at Celebration Anaheim. They released The Bad Batch, which is 4 more episodes in the story reel format. So we've gotten figure with Clone Wars. We got 4 episodes from Darth Maul, 4 episodes from Crystal Crisis, 4 from Bad Batch. So that's 12 episodes right there. And then with the Dark Disciple novel, that's 8. So we have 20 episodes of content. So we're missing a season and a half. And we don't know what they were talking about. We know from a panel between Filoni and Pablo Hidalgo that there was going to be a sequel to the Bad Batch storyline.
Really?
That's set on Kashyyyk. With that was going to be a Yoda and Kashyyyk story.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was also going to be a story arc about them going underneath the Jedi Temple, because, and this is canon, it mentioned in the Tarkin novel that below, like, the Jedi Temple, if you go underneath its lowest level, past the bedrock, it's built. They just build things on top of each other, like in the real world, when during the Crusades, when churches would fall and they would put mosques on top of it, or when mosques would fall, they would put churches on top of it. Same even with going back to ancient times when the pagan temples fell when they became Christian churches, and that below the depths of the Jedi Temple is that in fact this Sith shrine, and there'd be monsters underneath there, and they would face them. And then there was planned an Ahsoka arc, so we know almost what all the season arc, the episodes were going to be, because we know also the Siege of Mandalore episodes with Ahsoka and Darth Maul at the very end. That was going to be the final arc, and we know there was going to be an Ahsoka arc where she was trying to survive on Coruscant after she left. So there's just a lot of stuff from Clone Wars that we know about, but we're still in that, like, are we ever gonna see these? Are we ever gonna get these stories told? And every year at Celebration, they've been kind of teasing us more and more with it. They have I nearly forgot, there was the Boba Fett series arc, which we saw video of it.
Yeah, that little bit.
Previous Celebration, and then we saw another one from this Celebration, so that's another 4 episodes. Like, I love that Disney bought Star Wars and Lucasfilm, and I love that we're getting all this new stuff, but if there's one thing that I wish they wouldn't have done, I wish they would not have canceled Clone Wars.
Right.
And just let them be able to finish their story, and we would have been, much better off without it, because now there's all this content, and they do say in a video online that they consider everything that they had written for Clone Wars, they consider that to be canon.
Yeah.
So even though we don't know what the stories are, they consider that to be that's how that happened.
Yeah.
So that's good to know, because things can kind of we've seen this with different types of Star Wars media where something seems like it's canon now, but then one day later it kind of starts in this gray thing, and how Star Wars fans love to debate about whether something is valid or canon or not.
Yeah.
That is
Well done.
correct.
But the good thing is that with Asajj Ventress, we have basically an introduction and an ending, and it's all within the canon circle.
Yes, we have Ventress's full story. She's one of the few characters that we got to see it. And I was glad that we did get the Dark Disciple novel, because it is a fantastic novel. If you're a Clone Wars fan, you need to, if you love the Clone Wars and you haven't read this novel, go read this novel. You can get it on paperback now. It's so good. Boba Fett isn't it? Cad Bane, I think, isn't it? And there's a few other bounty hunters. And there's just some great. It's just a great story.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now that brings up a question I have about Asajj Ventress. Back into the Clone Wars series, we see the massacre on Dathomir, and then after that, she rebrands herself as a bounty hunter and joins this cabal of hunters with Bosk and Boba Fett and the very Dengar and some of the other Razzi, I think was the name.
And that cool droid.
And the
High
really cool
Fire.
droid, yeah, I love the droid. And they do the train heist episode. And one by one, where all the hunters are knocked off the train, she's left with Boba Fett and has a confrontation with him. And she tells Boba that since there's only two of them, they split the bounty 50-50. Then, as we know by the end of the episode, she's kind of tricked and locked Boba in the trunk and set the little girl free. And she even takes money from the little girl's brother to set her free. So she's being really greedy. But then she arrives back on the station where all the other hunters are there, and she says, I only took my share, and hands them the rest of the bounty. And then says, I found a new path in life. And I thought, where in there did she have that giant change of heart?
I think it was because she finds out that you're not throughout the episode. You're not sure what's in the box, because they have to.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Thank you. We have this episode where she arrives at she is in the Mos Eisley Cantina, and she kills a person that's a bounty hunter, and then Boba Fett's like, you killed our man, so you're gonna help us out on this hunt then. So she helps him out on this job they have, and it's on this planet where they have to take this like giant elevator down to underneath the surface. It's really cool looking, and they have to protect the cargo to get it to this guy. And you assume that the cargo is like just some precious treasure, gems or gold or some weapons, but it turns out to be a girl. And he bought her and he's gonna marry her. And the people that are trying to steal the box are actually the girl's brother, and they're trying to rescue his sister. Did I say daughter or sister? So it's a sister.
It's a sister.
Yeah, I might have said daughter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, so she ends up seeing, because she's gonna just do it. She's not gonna save the girl or anything, because Ventress is, thinking very Sithy, and selfishly. But then, I think she realizes that girl is her. Ventress didn't choose to be. She was taken from her home by the pirates, and then into the Jedi, and then her Jedi life was taken to her by another group, by the other pirates and stuff. So she knows what it's like to be taken from your family and your home without wanting to go. And I think that was when she kind of, started down the path of, not necessarily the Jedi, because she never becomes a Jedi or nothing, anything like that, but she does kind of go down the path of of redemption in the eyes of the Force. One interesting thing with Asajj Ventress on the Clone Wars show is that she kind of takes some of her characterization from the Legends version of Aura Singh. And in a future episode, I would love to talk about Aura Singh, and because that's a character that is, goes back to Phantom Menace, and she's probably one of the coolest background characters in that movie.
She was the assassin from Jango Fett, right?
No, that's Sam Wessel. Aura Singh watches the pod race in Phantom Menace.
But she has that kind of like bald on the sides of her head and kind of a long gun and an orange shirt or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's her.
That's
okay.
her.
Yep. So another bald, pseudo bald woman that's pale white.
Yeah.
They could be related. I don't know. Now here's just some fun. I thought this would be a little fun thing. So every time now we talk about a different character, I'm going to be asking kind of like a little trivia question, because we love us Star fans. We love action figures. We love collecting. And I thought
figures,
this would be really
toys.
fun. I'm looking at Steve Sansweet's Star Wars: The Ultimate Action Figure Collection book, and from 2012. And I'm going to be asking you guys how many Asajj Ventress action figures.
Okay, I got a problem
different
first.
Figures.
I got a problem first. First, I couldn't bring a case of beer with me on the shuttle, but you could bring that huge book with you? That is so unfair.
I had a good I have a good backpack.
Okay. But anyway, so Asajj Ventress figures.
So, I'm going to... Lance.
Yeah.
How many Asajj Ventress action figures? Like different Asajj I cannot.
I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it right around 9. I don't think there were too many of them, and I remember only seeing maybe 4 or 5 here in Germany. So I'm gonna double that number and add 1 to it for good measure. So I'm gonna say 9.
Okay, so your answer is 9. James, how about you?
I'm gonna cut under at 6.
6. All right. And
No, it's
the
fine.
correct answer is BB-8 drum roll, please. 5.
Oh.
This is as of 2012 when they wrote this book. I mean, there could be more, but when they wrote this book, there were 5 figures.
No.
I was trying to count in my head. I'm like, the different looks that we saw in Clone Wars, and I came up with 5. And I thought, well, for good measure, I'll add 1.
Yeah, no, all the figures we had were all the same costume.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had the Asajj Ventress. The first one actually was styled. I own this one in my collection. It's the 2003 Clone Wars animated series.
Yes.
And it's stylized like the Samurai Jack Clone Wars show.
Yes.
Huh.
And then the other 4 are. Then we have 3 figures that are. They're not from the Clone Wars TV show, because they're 2003, 2005, 2008. They look like real, and she looks creepy as all hell. And then in 2008 we got the Clone Wars actual sculpt. It looks like it's from the first episode. And just another bonus trivia about Asajj Ventress. She was created, we first see her as a comic character. Yeah. But the idea of her came from concept art for Attack of the Clones as the apprentice to Darth Sidious. With sketches done by Dermot Power. And that apprentice later would become Count Dooku. And he wanted her earlier designs to look almost as if she were like a samurai. and you could find this concept art, the art of Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. But the character of it, the look of her was made for Attack of the Clones, but the character was made for the Clone Wars multimedia project.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So here's another action figure trivia for you. Or just for me to say, hey, I did this. I have taken tours of the old Kenner factory, where all the original figures
Nice.
And awesome was the end of the tour, they had this big vat drum filled with just extra figures, and they just would tell kids, they're like, just reach in and take what you want. So they were always like, I ended up with a lot of stormtroopers.
Of course.
And I ended up with a few different, the original Princess Leia too.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I have a few of those too.
The Kenner's headquarters, wasn't that in Indiana?
That was in Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. Okay.
Yeah, well, the factory was Cincinnati.
Okay.
That's why we always got to go. But I've done it.
Okay.
I did it like I can't even remember how many times I did it. No, we did it.
Okay.
At least.
That's awesome.
I would probably do it
All right.
20
Well,
times.
now it's time for us to switch over, and we got Chris Macht on the line.
Hey.
Yeah, I got a transmission coming in right now. So,
Right,
yeah, there it is.
I think it's Chris.
Yeah,
We're getting a reception in this cave.
yeah. It's not really good, but it is ringing here. So we'll go ahead and switch over to Chris.
Perfect.
And
All right. All right, well, hey listeners, we're joined today by a very special guest, Chris Macht, Star Wars filmmaker. He is a guy behind The Force Among Us, The Force Within Us, and the brand new Star Wars reality TV show, The Real Fans of the Saga. Welcome, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, man, it's going good. It's going good. It's a little less hectic now. Last time I talked to you, I was giving you a bit of a report at Celebration. So the smoke is cleared, and I'm doing good.
Yeah, now, how are you post-Celebration? You still in that Celebration high, or is it back to normal?
No, you know what? I'm still I'm coming down a little bit. But it took about 3 weeks, to come down from it. There was a lot. I'm sure you guys heard there were a lot of complaints. Mostly about just the lines and the disorganization. It was rough for a lot of people. I was fortunate because I had a vendor pass that let me into the show floor without waiting in line, and then I had a friend that had a VIP pass. I have no idea how he got it. He doesn't either. It was just luck. And he let me use that for the autographs and some of the photo ops. So I really, really dodged the bullet. I think the Star Wars guys were with me. I didn't have, the challenges and the rough experience like everybody else did. I don't think there were too many people that got a high from the show. I was maybe one of the few, but I'm looking forward to taking my family to the next one. I think it's going to be I'm looking for a new experience. So I'm probably going to bring my daughter. She'll be 4, and then my wife. It'll be her first convention as well. So.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, I mean, probably my biggest complaint about the whole time frame of when Celebration happened was they had it literally on Easter weekend. Made it very hard to, even watch panels online and stuff.
I mean, it's funny because Star Wars is a big family thing, and Easter, regardless of what your religion is, it's still a family holiday. And I just thought, out of 365 days of a year, and that big committee that's putting this thing together, did they really have to choose that weekend? I think that was one of the problems of the event before it even began, because I know a lot of people, were stuck not going, or those that went had a little guilt because of doing. But yeah, it was such a weird weekend.
For listeners going to the next Star Wars celebrations, if you want to make sure you get in good line, just follow Chris Macht.
Yeah,
That's a plan.
Try to set up 12 computers at your house and spend the extra money on the VIP pass, because if you can get it, it's a couple $100 more, but I got a feeling it'll be worth it in the end. You just save so much time, right? And they always say time is money, so. Why do you want to spend, the night in line?
You're spending so much money to be at the convention, and you're spending, there are people that they spent all their Friday waiting in line to get into a panel on Saturday.
Yeah, people were getting turned away, right? So it's like it was so crazy that people would spend the night in line, and then at 9 o'clock the next day, they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you can't get into this panel because it's full." So you couldn't tell me that at midnight last night.
Wow. No, speaking of conventions, yeah. Go ahead, John.
But you mentioned the sorry, my net cut off for a second.
Oh, no worries.
No worries.
But you mentioned the high was starting to come down just a little bit, Chris. But I'm sure one thing that's helped out with that, making it level, is you got this new show coming out now.
Yeah. I think I kind of shifted gears, and the high has been, all about getting the show released. We've been working on it for 2 years. Our Kickstarter campaign was a year ago. And we were way behind schedule, just from work commitments and the amount of time that it took to make a reality show with the small crew that we had. A lot of people don't like reality TV. Some people love it. It's not for everybody. But at the end of the day, it's a really, really challenging project to make. And I've been editing it. I've actually earned my first editing credit out of my. This is my 4th project, so that's been exciting, and it's been a learning experience for me. And I couldn't be happier about having this project finally come to life. And it's been a little slow on the promoting end. If you put it on a chart or a graph, like if we were sitting around in a business meeting, it seems like the chart would point downward as far as people knowing about this project, and the amount of times it's been viewed. It's fairly new. It's definitely going to be an ongoing thing. We're already planning on a season 2, so I'm kind of letting it take its course, and let's see where this thing goes organically with the crowd base.
Yeah.
But the feedback that we've gotten has been tremendous. I mean, this is something, the production value is so high. It's something that you would see on, TLC, Bravo, or Lifetime, for that matter,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very funny show for listeners who haven't watched it yet. Real fans of the Saga is really funny, and there's some familiar faces from the your previous documentaries that you have in there. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah. A couple things that I wanted to go with a familiar cast, so I figured I would have 2 of my friends, and both First Among Us and the fourth best in the reality show. So for those of you that have been following my projects for 10 years, or even just a summer, by the time you get around to being fans, I've seen these guys in these other productions that we've done. So I wanted some familiarity there. There's only one of the cast members that's new to my productions. He's an old friend of mine. And then it is a compliment saying that it is funny, because my documentaries, including my Walking Dead documentary, the Walking Dead documentary we did, there was a shot of some guy dying in the hospital talking to the cast of The Walking Dead. And I mean, it was just really, really deep stuff, and my documentaries have not been funny. So I kind of wanted to step away from the serious side of it, and the serious side of fandom, and kind of just say, let's go, let's do a different approach. Let's make it for adults. Let's kind of keep the family, the family aspect out of it a little bit. This isn't a show that you want to sit down with your 5-year-old son or daughter. It's more targeted towards like teens and up, and the stuff is organically funny. We don't even try to get the humor across. It just happens so naturally, which is fun to see, right? Because people want to see fun stuff in reality TV, and we're going to get to the serious side of things, like more about my dad and my dad taking his own life and me growing up without a father, and my wife was 5.5 months pregnant when she lost our son. So we're gonna kind of eventually get around to that serious stuff, but we're gonna save that for season 2, and the show's developed more, and you really, really know the cast members a little bit more,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
So you guys are planning on a second season?
So yeah, we are gonna do a season 2 for sure, because there's just so much more that we want to talk about, and so much stuff that we've thought about that we didn't shoot, and there's so much stuff that we learned, right, about this whole project and this whole process. I think that's why I wanted to make a sequel to The Force Among Us. It was like, man, it was my first documentary. There's so much more that I want to do, and there's so many things that I would do differently, and the same thing applies to this reality series. I think it would be a waste if we didn't do a season 2. And the nice thing about Kickstarter is that we've developed this fan base. It's taken us 10 years to do it, but there's always people that want to see more. And if we tone down the budget, we'll be able to film it, cost effectively, where we don't have to worry about the financial aspect of making this thing.
Yeah, and especially since there's no celebration next year, that should help too.
Yeah, right. There's no celebration next year, so you don't have to worry about dropping the coin on that. And, I think it's something that Star Wars fans always want something to look forward to in between the movies. So, the hardcore fans really appreciate what we're doing. It's something for them to look forward to as well. So it's nice to be part of the Star Wars fandom offering, where people are like, "Hey, Dan, when's the next episode coming out? I'm looking forward to it."
Yeah.
That's a big compliment that I love to hear from the fans.
Yeah, and especially you posted the show at the perfect time, in my opinion. I mean, May is the Star Wars month, and
amen to that, man.
Like,
George Lucas' birthday is even in May.
Like I just binge watched the prequel trilogy yesterday, and I can't wait to go and watch Rogue One and the originals tomorrow. But you just when there's something about when it gets warmer in spring, and it gets to around that the May time of the year where you just want to watch Star Wars stuff, and whether it's the actual films, the TV shows, or documentaries or whatnot. And especially we don't have Rebels on air every week to keep our appetite good. We now have the real fans of the Saga doing that.
Oh, hopefully. Hopefully it fills a void for a lot of fans, And I totally agree with you. May is the Star Wars month, and I think the reason why it's pretty simple, right? Because all 6 Star Wars films that were part of the Lucas era, they were released in May, and I think it was just something that we associated with Star Wars, the time of the year. And oddly enough, when I rediscovered Star Wars, it happened organically, but it was pretty much like in March and April of '92, and so it kind of reminds me of my rebirth that I had with the Saga as well. And I thought that was kind of weird when they announced that Episode 7 and Rogue One, eventually was going to be a December release. I just thought the first time I heard about Episode 7 being released in Christmas time, I'm like, that's really, really weird, because that doesn't feel like Star Wars, even though Christmas is another time of year that we associate with the saga, just from getting, gifts when we were kids and whatnot. But I'm excited about some of these new movies, like the Han Solo movie, and then Episode 9 being released back in the month of May.
May, yeah. I think it was actually interesting, because Episode 8 was, I don't know if you guys knew that, it was supposed to come out this May in 2017, but after Force Awakens came out,
originally,
they pushed it back to that December. So I was actually kind of shocked when we got the Episode 9 announcement that it was going to be coming out in May of 2019, because I thought they were going to keep the Saga films coming out for December now, because it's been doing so well for them.
Yeah, but they can't do that with the announcement of the Avatar films coming out in December now. They're not going to try and put Star Wars up against Avatar, even though Star Wars.
Oh, we know who would win every time. Yeah. It'd be Star Wars.
Yes, we do.
Chris, for real fans, we have
that's a good point. I think Episode 9. I mean, if that's going to be the last of the post Lucas era trilogy, I think you release Episode 9, in February, it's still gonna draw, because it's gonna close out.
Oh yeah,
the trilogy of new era films.
Yeah, it really will.
A Star Wars film can come out in January, the worst month for films to come out in the theaters, and it would still clean up. It would still make billions of dollars.
I thought, maybe the industry needs something like that. It's not a bad thing, but it's definitely a tricky business for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. Now for Chris, real fans of the saga, the first 4 episodes are up. How many episodes long is season 1?
Season 1 is it's going to be at least 10 episodes, and I think we're going to probably end up with exactly 10 episodes. And the reason why I say at least 10 is because it's in our budget to finish 10 episodes, and it was kind of promised as a minimal that that's what the Kickstarter fans were going to get. So it's a little bit of a commitment, but at the same time, it's something that we obviously want to do. So I can't see it going over more than 10, because there's probably going to be a couple fillers that we're going to have to do to put into an episode. So I guess technically there's still some shooting to do, but it's definitely not going to slow down the release of the episodes. But yeah, to answer your question, I would say 10 is the nice round solid number.
Sounds good to me. Now, the first 4 episodes I just got done watching, they all take place in Celebration Anaheim, which, from looking at the first 4 episodes, could almost be considered frat party Anaheim.
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
I think the first day at Anaheim, if I was watching it correctly, I believe that you guys were actually only at Celebration for about 4 hours, and everybody else had already gone back to the house and already popped the tops on the beers, and you were stuck waiting for a car.
Yes. I think the rental house, it's kind of funny that you say frat party Anaheim or frat party Celebration, because the drinking element of the show, one, it's something that we do, 2, when the cameras are there and everybody's having a good time, it looks like it's more of a party than it actually is. But I don't want to downplay it. I mean, we did party every night. And I was like, man, I wonder if some fans are going to see this and be like, these aren't the real fans of the saga. These are a bunch of freaking frat boys drinking. And then I thought, who cares what other people think if that's not a good interpretation of, a fan, because every fan is different. And the thing about reality TV is once you take the drinking element out of reality television, it's not as fun and entertaining. And people are, you got to remember too, if people are drinking, they loosen up a little bit. So that kind of, when you start watching episode 5 and episode 6, people are not as loose, and the humor might be out of it a little bit. It might not be as humorous. And the thing, to answer your question about being at Celebration for a short time, the house was so close to the convention center, and so many people in our party got so tired of waiting in the lines, they would have rather gone back and sat by the pool and cracked open some beers and just kind of enjoyed the experience of being together and being on vacation, because the convention can be so grueling and so demanding, physically and emotionally. I think that's kind of how the story unfolded,
Yeah, definitely. And it looked like you guys really did catch a whole lot inside the convention as well. I know you guys had very limited time recording in there because of the busyness, the crowds, and waiting in lines and everything else. But yeah, I can completely understand why some people would want to get back and kind of relax in the pool, especially after standing on their feet for 4 or 6 hours.
There is a good handful of stuff that we had shot. But when you're putting together, okay, so you go to Celebration for 3 days, and you follow the fans around. I think what happens is when you go back and you watch all the footage, I think you start to realize what your story is with the kind of footage that you have. And the convention footage that we shot, I would say it's not what those 2, 3, and 4 episodes are about. But I think the cool thing about it is you have to, it's because we talk about the lines, we talk about spending the money, and we talk about getting to the convention, and we talk about the frustration of being there. So it kind of always reverts back to the day at Celebration, even though we didn't film, an awful, even though we didn't show a lot of the footage in there.
Yeah.
And I think the Kickstarter supporters, like the extra bonus content that they're promised, they're going to end up getting more Celebration footage than anything else, because there's so much that we shot that we didn't use.
Yeah, I did notice.
I, as a convention goer to like other types of like anime conventions, Comic Cons, and stuff like that, I can completely agree with you, Chris, that some of the best moments I've ever had at a convention did not happen on the convention floor. They happened in the hotel room that we were staying at, or, out at a restaurant or something, just hanging out with your buddies while you're out at this convention, like that's where a lot of the fun, the fun and funny moments come from, not just waiting in line for a panel.
I think that's a very good point, and I've gotten some emails from some of the fans that say, wow, it brought back memories, or wow, I could really relate to you guys when you were complaining about the lines. And at the end of episode 4, we use Duffy to kind of close it out, and that was a little unconventional for me, because it's the only time we see him give a confessional. And I did that for a couple reasons. One, he said it's so best to wrap it up about, he didn't focus on the convention, he focused on the people and the house and the good times that he had. And he was originally supposed to be the 5th cast member, but he lives in Minnesota, which is 5 hours from where we do all our shooting. And I thought it was kind of like a little bit of a tribute, his swan song, to kind of close out Celebration, because it's kind of the last time we really, really see a lot of him. And I was so disappointed that he wasn't going to be the 5th cast member. So I wanted to kind of send him off on a high note and then give him the time on the screen. But I love the fact that he does say that, it's about the people. It's about the friends that the new friends that I made. And, just kind of sharing the experience of everybody being together. I thought that was, right in line with what you said, and I'm glad that a lot of people relate to that, because I think at the end of the day, that's what it's really all about,
Yeah, that was a very...
It's all about just having fun, hanging with your friends,
Yeah, both me and my wife were watching the show, and we were like, Duffy, he doesn't do a whole lot. And then finally at the end, when he actually said that it wasn't about the convention for him, it was about the meeting people and meeting new people and developing the times with friends and everybody else. And we were like, oh, okay, that makes complete sense. And it's very true. I can completely understand exactly what he was doing. And, yeah, he was developing memories with you guys. Is exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, John?
Sorry, my net cut out again. So the real fans of the saga can be found on you have a Kickstarter page. You have on Facebook. And where's the best place for people to watch the show, buy the show, and all that, Chris?
Right now, you can follow us on our Facebook page. It's the Real Fans of the Saga. A Star Wars fan reality show is actually the full title, but if you just type in the Real Fans of the Saga, it'll take you there. And as of right now, we are using our Force Among Us page. It's ancient. It's been up for 10 years now. The ForceAmongUs.com. You can buy individual episodes there. They're downloads. We are going to be doing a DVD release of this, probably not until towards Christmas time, appropriately or oddly enough, however you look at it. And we will be on Amazon Prime eventually. We will be on Amazon Prime eventually. We are looking at possibly releasing our first episode on there on May 25th. Which would be the 40th anniversary of Star Wars.
Yeah, to the day.
And we'll release those episodes slowly but surely on there. If you don't have Prime, I wouldn't wait to buy it on Amazon to download it there. I would go directly to The Force Among Us, and you'll find a tab there that says The Real Fans of the Saga. And our plan is to release these episodes weekly. We released episode 1 and 2 at the same time. 3 and 4, fell a week apart. And 5 is going to be released on May 22nd. We've had some work commitments that have kept us from staying on target, staying on schedule. So we're hoping that once May 22nd rolls around, these will be weekly releases again.
Okay. Cool. And we'll on our Holocron of the Whills Facebook page and Twitter, we will post the links to where our listeners can find your show downloads, where they can see the Kickstarter page and your Facebook page.
And if people want to know more about the show, they kind of participate, they can subscribe on our Kickstarter page. There is there's a live chat that we do that we're trying to do every Thursday. It's actually once a week. Thursday seems to be the magical day that works for everybody. And it's about a half an hour to a 1 hour live stream through Kickstarter Live. And people can ask questions. They can participate in contests. They can chat one-on-one with us. It's a really, really cool interactive thing that we're doing. We've done 2 episodes already, and really you can subscribe. And then if you subscribe to it, you can get the updates like when we're going to do our next live show.
That's really cool.
Okay. And that's all on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, you know, if you can't find it on the Kickstarter page, you can definitely find it on our Real Fans of the Saga Facebook page.
Everyone, if you haven't watched Chris's Force Among Us, Force Within Us documentaries, what are you doing? Go watch them. They're fantastic films. They're on Amazon Prime. And then go check out Real Fans of the Saga for some hilarious Star Wars reality TV show. Thanks for popping on, Chris.
Hey, thank you guys for taking the time to fit me in, and I really, really appreciate the support.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem.
Great.
We're always here to support other Star Wars fans and all their projects and everything.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. I look forward to talking with you guys again real soon, man. Stay in touch.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Have a good one, Chris. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you too, man. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you.
All right. Bye.
All right, that was Chris Macht you heard from Real Fans of the Saga, also The Force Within Us and The Force Among Us. And that's it for this week. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Holocron of the Whills. We're on Twitter at Holocron Whills. I got it right this time.
All right.
Yeah.
We also have a Facebook group. Look for us on the Fulcrum Podcast Network, along with There's Another Podcast and our brand new show, The Bucket Cast.
Welcome, Bucket Cast.
Yes,
Absolutely welcome.
And also, in between shows, you can always message us and let us know any comments, concerns, short stories, remix poems, anything like that. And if you have any questions, send us in a message.
That's it for me. Just make sure if you guys want a really good Star Wars group, make sure you download the app called Jedi Amino, A-M-I-N-O, Jedi Amino. Great guys, real fans.
I'm kind of hearing some rumblings outside the cave.
Yeah, I've been hearing that too.
Back.
You know, when the Chris thing was on, I was hearing that outside too. I don't know if that Rancor is coming back, but yeah, see, right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm hearing it. All right. Well, let's grab our recording equipment and let's head back to the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. Yeah. Let me figure out which one's the off button. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Okay.
Nope.
All right. I think I found it. Stupid Arabish. I can't read this. All right. Talk to you next week.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you guys.
This has been a production of the GDA Podcast Network.